Hello and good evening, YouTube. It is that time of the year again where we get to be disappointed once again by the 2019 chase. Doesn't it feel just like yesterday when we were being disappointed by the finish of the Daytona 500? Well, now we have an entirely new set of circumstances to be disappointed by. We got 16 drivers, 10 races, one completely meaningless championship that actually has no substance whatsoever because the way that the championship is handed out is just fucking absurd. But as we all know, it's not just Cup, it's not just Xfinity, it's also trucks. I know that the truck series has had two chase races already. Two goddamn races already. Why is there a plus sign next to Moffat's name? That's... There's already been two chase races in trucks, but we're still going to do the truck series predictions anyway. So yeah, let's just get right into it, I suppose. Ross Chastain, man. What planet is he from? What planet is this cross-eyed watermelon farmer from, dude? The second he declared for points, he became the Truck Series Championship favorite. And there were people that were saying, "Oh, he's not even gonna make it." And it's like, the hurdle to overcome was the win, and then he got 3 wins. So actually, he got 4 wins. More on that later, but yeah. Ross Chastain, championship favorite. Let's move on to the guy who should be in at least Xfinity. Brad Moffitt, still like the best driver in the series, still like the best driver in trucks, despite the fact that Chastain is in trucks. And he's still proving it. I mean, he didn't look like... I was going to start this video by saying that Moffitt didn't really look good until Iowa, but the thing is, I look back on Racing Reference, and besides all the wrecks, like, Moffitt's been this strong since Busch was being a piece of shit and racing in the series for no reason. He probably could have won Las Vegas at the start of the season. He got top 5s in every race that Busch was in. So... yeah, it's just like he's had the speed all season. It's just that it's taken a while for him to actually, get to victory lane, and he's already got 4 wins on the season, right? No, he only had 2 races going into the chase, and now he has 4 wins. So he has 4 races going into the predictions video. So that means that he's in the exact same position that he was in last year. You know what? He already has matched his top 10s from last season, and there's still, 5 races left in the season, dude? I'm telling you, Moffitt, man. And then there's Matt Crafton, who's in a very similar, yet entirely opposite position as to last year. Because Crafton was completely irrelevant last season, and yet this season he's been very strong. He still hasn't won, though. So Crafton is a bit of a sleeper, but he still hasn't had race win potential. The only race that he's had race win potential in, I'd say, besides Michigan, is going to be Texas. And that's the Texas race that Biffle won, is what I'm talking about, by the way. So yeah, Crafton. Very, very interesting set of circumstances, of Crafton. And as we move on, Johnny Sauter. Speaking of completely opposite, my God, dude. Sauter has sucked ass this year. The only time that he's been relevant all season is his win at Dover. And I still don't know how that one happened. But yeah, Sauter has been just irrelevant. It's just... I don't even know, man. Grant Enfinger, he has had a very similar season to last year, except he's been even more dominant, even without the wins. Enfinger 8 points for breakfast. and during the regular season, I guess everyone calls him that. And Finger Dude. And then the chase started, and he's been absolutely irrelevant. I think he's actually in jeopardy of missing the second round, despite being, 50 points ahead of second place going into the chase. So that's just phenomenal. That's just phenomenal. Great format, guys. And then there's Tyler Ankrum, this crazy bitch, dude. I'm telling you, this guy's the sleeper of the century. And yet he's last in the chase now because he had one bad race. Yeah, Ankrum has been the sleeper of the century. He finished second at Pocono. He was in position to win Michigan. Like, bullshitting a win at Kentucky aside, he has had the speed coming into the chase. Now, of course, Bristol, he had a horrible race. And Canadian Tire, I think he finished like, 7th or something. But it's not enough, dude. He's probably going to need to win Vegas. So watch fuel strategy be a thing. And then there's Stuart Friesen, the biggest douche of them all. Which is kind of good when the biggest douche in the entire chase field is just Stuart Friesen. Like, it could have been someone else, man. Like, that ain't bad. So, all things considered, not the worst. And he finally won, even though it was in the worst Eldora race ever. The absolute worst Eldora race ever. But hey, a win is a win, I suppose. And then there's Austin Hill, who was just... I can't get a good gauge on Austin Hill, dude. Because he's been strong at times, but at other times he's just not had the pace that Moffitt had last year. And at other times, he's just randomly winning, like Daytona and Michigan. Like, Daytona was a fucking shit show and it shouldn't count for anything. But then Michigan, it also was a bit of a shit show, but Hill was like the leader when the shit show happened in Michigan. And it's like, I can't get a gauge. Is Austin Hill actually good? I don't know. You see, the thing is, I thought after his great season with Tyler Young, like, it was great, dude, back last year, he was going to stumble into the Hattori truck and probably win, like, 3 or 4 races. And I predicted in the actual... I didn't actually predict this in the predictions video. I predicted in the predictions video that he'd make the Final Four, but I didn't actually say that he'd win 2 races, and that's been my prediction from the start of the season, like ever since he was announced. I said he was going to win exactly 2 races, but I didn't put that into the actual predictions video because I wanted to be wrong instead, So, but yeah, Austin Hill, I can't get a gauge. So that is, in fact, your 2019 Truck Series Chase contenders. We already know how Bristol and Canadian Tire went, and if it's any consolation, I probably would have said that Brett Moffitt was going to win Bristol and Ross Chastain would have won Canadian Tire. And then from there, I probably would have said Corbin Forrester was going to win Las Vegas because he's coming back at Las Vegas. But in any case, this is a... And I feel like the Truck Series Chase is probably the hardest to predict because anything can happen and any of these 8 could win the championship if we're being God's honest truth. Any of these 8 drivers could win the championship. But still, I feel like the chase for the trucks, just like last year, is going to be the easiest of all to predict, which is why I'm having Moffitt sweep the first 3 races. For good reason. He finished second in Vegas to only Kyle Busch last year, and Moffitt had the race-winning truck. He had the race-winning truck. I think I remember specifically the race being handed back to Busch because shit sucks, dude. But then you have Chastain, Crafton, Ankrum, Enfinger, and Hill. I have Sauter and Friesen dropping out. And the only reason I say this is because, well, this is what I said on Twitter. So, Sauter has had an awful season. If he has one bad race, he's not making... If he wrecks at Vegas, he's not making the next round. Now, the thing for Sauter is that Bristol is one of his best tracks, and I don't remember where he finished, but it was obviously good enough to advance. And then he had a really good Canadian Tire race. Wasn't expecting that, but now Vegas becomes a huge concern. Now, sure, Enfinger won this race last year, and driving for ThorSport, he should easily have the speed. But you see, Sauter may have made the chase, but he wouldn't have if he hadn't won Dover. And Rhodes didn't make the chase at all. ThorSport has been a tale of 4 different drivers, and Grant Enfinger being the best of them. And Matt Crafton, not quite the same speed of Enfinger, but he's right there with them. Sauter and Rhodes were irrelevant, and I think the best thing that I've ever seen in my life probably would be Rhodes blowing up on the start of the Kentucky race. To be honest, that was just phenomenal in every way, shape, and form, in every capacity imaginable. That was great. But in any case, yeah, I pick Ankrum because Ankrum is the sleeper of the century. I feel like he has the raw speed to finish second to Moffitt at Vegas. And if he has a good, stage points kind of day, I think he could do it. And what I'm anticipating is Friesen wrecking himself and Sauter wrecking himself. Maybe the two of them wreck each other because they were kind of getting at it back in like 2016. So I don't know. But that leaves Hill and Enfinger as the remainder. And I have Moffitt sweeping the first round of the chase because he's just that good. He's riding a streak of 4 straight chase wins. And he should have won Vegas at the start of the season. So that's where that comes from. So pretty uninteresting round, seeing as how everything's already happened pretty much. And the final race in this round is tomorrow, or not tomorrow, but this week. Well, depending on when this goes up, which I'm sure is tonight, so it's still not tomorrow. And like the Xfinity chase hasn't even started yet, and the first round of the Trucks chase is about to be over. But the point is, let's just move on to the final 4. All right, so I have Chastain winning Martinsville, ? Winning Talladega, and Austin Hill winning Phoenix to get into the final race at Homestead. Why do I say Chastain winning Martinsville? Well, he probably could have done it earlier this year. The Martinsville race from earlier this year was fucking shit, and Chastain probably could have won. But he's got to get there first. And plus, he had the race-winning car at Bristol. I thought Chastain was a lock to win Bristol earlier in the season. I really did. And he probably would have if it weren't for the pit penalty. And before he even declared for points, he was leading laps in Martinsville. Like the Martinsville race earlier this season was kind of what set off the Chastain championship hype. I'm already 13 minutes into this video and we're not even done with trucks. But yeah. As for the Talladega ? Talladega has been really, 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 really stupid lately. And it's the chase opener. It's actually the round opener instead of the round closer like it's been lately. So I think that might completely change every driver's approach, which makes it possible for a chase driver to maybe go in there and win it. But I don't think so. I think it's going to be another stupid winner, like Kligerman. But not Kligerman, obviously. I think there's every chance in the world that whoever goes into this race, not in the chase, I think maybe even Sheldon Creed could win this. So, yeah. Talladega is going to be stupid. Maybe we'll do a live reaction stream for that if my internet doesn't suck ass by then. The strange thing is that the download speed for this computer is great, but I can't stream to save my life, and uploads take 300% the time that they did before. But I can stream 2 separate streams at the same time in 1080p, and it's just I don't get it. And I have Austin Hill winning Phoenix. No particular reason on this one. I just think that he's in a similar fashion to Ankrum, a bit of a sleeper here. Ow. He's got potential to be the champion. And I think he's going to take Hattori to the final round of the chase. Again, that's just my opinion on the subject, however. And then you have Moffitt and Crafton. Moffitt, obviously, because he's going to have what? How many playoff points? And then Crafton, just because he's been the most consistent chase driver. That knocks out Ankrum, who, even if he gets to round 2, it's a miracle to begin with. It was a miracle that he got there. He's not going to make it again. And then there's Enfinger, who, despite being so good at the start of the season, he's been irrelevant in the first, round. Talladega, he could get wrecked. Martinsville. This is Martinsville. Enfinger's decent there. And then Phoenix. Enfinger was in contention to win Phoenix, wasn't he? If he had, that would have knocked out Gregson. So that would have been just fantastic. But in any case, I still think it's going to be Crafton. Oh man, who do I think is going to win the championship? Who could possibly win the championship between these? Ross Chastain. Why don't we just have a talk about Ross Chastain? Ross Chastain is the story of the century. And his wins have come at the expense of watermelon haters worldwide. I mean, watermelon, enthusiasts, I suppose, because he destroys them. There have been many, many watermelons that have fallen at the hands of Ross Chastain. And there will be many, many more. Because there's no way he's not going to be in NASCAR for the next 20 years after this career path that he's had. But at the same time, how can you bet against him? The only thing that you can put against Brett Moffitt right now is that GMS and the truck that he kind of stepped into, which is the lead GMS truck, Sauter only managed to finish 10th at Homestead. But you see, the difference is that Sauter won the 2016 championship. And, he didn't win the race to do it. He finished behind, I believe, Briscoe and Bell at least. Right? Or was that Byron's race? I think he still finished behind Bell too, but still. No, he couldn't have, because Bell was in the chase that season. I know he didn't win the goddamn race at Homestead, is my point. But you see, just like last year, I feel like between Chastain and Moffitt, Hill and Crafton will probably be completely irrelevant. Our luck, Matt Crafton is going to win this championship without winning a single race, and Todd Gilliland's going to get his first career win at fucking Homestead or something. But yeah, still, I think you have to give it to Moffitt, because despite Chastain being the championship favorite from the second he announced he's going to run points, I just think that's what's going to happen, is that he's going to get screwed over at Homestead. And Homestead is a progressively banked track that relies heavily on equipment. And, despite the fact that, Chastain is basically a full-on GMS truck, I still think that they're going to give the competitive edge to Moffitt if Moffitt makes it to the Final Four, which I don't see any circumstance where he doesn't, unless he dies at Talladega. But he still has Martinsville to make up for it. And Moffitt isn't amazing at Martinsville, but he could get a solid top 5, top 10. And then Phoenix, he just, won there. So, and GMS is strong at Phoenix. But yeah, there's no circumstances besides 3 blown engines for Moffitt to not make the final round of the chase. And that is why he's going to repeat as champion and still be stuck in the Truck Series, despite the fact that he should be in probably 5 different Xfinity rides by now. So yeah, Moffitt wins the Truck Championship. Oh man, it's only 20 minutes into this video and we've made it to Xfinity. And like every other year before this year, there's still one more race to determine the field. And if you think that anyone that isn't on this list already is going to win it, Las Vegas, well, I hope you're right, because that would be hilarious. But still. But still. Maybe by the time I'm done recording this, the entry list will be out, and we'll see if anyone can actually, you know, stumble their way into the chase. Maybe they'll put, like... Maybe they'll put fucking... I don't know. I don't know who's not... I don't know who else could make the chase. Like, Clements, I think, could make the... What if they put Greg Alding into a junior motorsports car for one race just to get him into the chase for no reason at all? That'd be so fantastic. Anyway, Michael Annett. I had so much confidence in Michael Annett 1 month ago. Ever since his top 5 at Kentucky, he has been absolutely irrelevant. Now, we have done the road courses where he sucks at, and he survived them somehow. I think he even got a top goddamn 10 at one of them. But still, he has been just trash lately. And in a race that I thought he maybe could do decent in, at Indianapolis, he was utterly irrelevant the entire race. So, great. Thank you, Annette, for being irrelevant. But yeah, I'd say he had the speed to point his way through the entire chase. Now, Richmond, I think he got a top 10 at earlier this year, but it was a bit of a shit show. Maybe he'll do it again. The Roval... the Roval is the Roval. And Dover, he did get a top 10 at Dover, but he really wasn't... He didn't have that speed to actually, you know, get it on talent at Dover earlier this season. So, I'm scared for Annette. I really am. I just... Please be talentless in points. I don't think anything that I could say. I could speak for the next 10 minutes, and nothing will be able to put into perspective how much I hate this season of Xfinity. And it's all because of the man I have highlighted. Oh, and this guy too. Fuck that guy. And this guy, fuck him as well. Justin Haley has done actually kind of decent. He's been in a very similar position to Annette, where he grabbed a bunch of top 10s by finishing 10th when he didn't have the speed to actually do anything. Haley is as much of a sleeper now as he was last season in the truck chase. I had Justin Haley going to the Final Four in the Truck Series last season, and no one believed me. No one believed me. Well, let's just see what Justin Haley does this year. This bitch. This fucking bitch. God a fucking A-mite. I fucking hate you so goddamn much. The worst driver in NASCAR today. Top 5 worst drivers in NASCAR history. I am willing to throw my hat into the ring that Brandon fucking Jones is top 5 worst drivers in NASCAR history. Because at least Townley won. This bitch is horrible. Christopher Bell, on the other hand, is the epitome of greatness. Future Cup champion, as we all say, but he probably won't because the Cup Series package is shit, and it completely, you know, is the opposite of Bell's driving style. Because just think of the races that Bell's won this season. You know, short tracks. Fucking Road America somehow. Because there was no competition for him at all. That's the reason. But yeah, he wins at tracks where it's required to have, you know, talent. And it does help to have, like, the best car in the field at places like Road America or New Hampshire, where he's just walked to the win just because no one else can keep up with Joe Gibbs equipment. Not even motherfuckers in Joe Gibbs equipment. But, Bell has that very interesting combination of talent and equipment. He's in a very similar position to Eric Jones. And that's why, you know, Jones won 4 races in the most leech-infested season in NASCAR history. one of the worst seasons of leeching ever. 2016. Even compared to like 2006, dude. Like 2006 was bad. But like 2016 is comparable. That's just how awful it was. But in any case, Bell, championship favorite by a mile. Cole Custer, what the fuck happened? I'll tell you what happened. Mike Shiplet happened. If Briscoe gets this seat next year, and Haas just doesn't dump his ass when Custer goes to Cup, you know, that'd be fantastic. And we could see a very similar season out of Briscoe next year. But still, what the fuck, dude? I remember in my Richmond video where I said that, you know, Cole Custer, oh, we'll win one more time. Yeah, I have vastly underestimated the power of Mike Shiplet. And that is my mistake. 6 fucking wins, dude. How? Fucking how? How does that even happen? How does that even transpire, dude? God damn. Why can't anyone else get a hand of this equipment? John Hunter Nemechek, he has sucked John Hunter Nemedick this season. Holy shit, Nemechek has been awful. God almighty, dude, he has been horrible. It's pathetic, to be honest. And then there's Briscoe, who won a race on talent. Yay, go Briscoe. This bitch. God, fucking go away. Ryan Sieg. You know, Ryan Sieg is a very interesting case because I haven't really been paying attention to him lately. But, like, at the start of the season, like, he was the sleeper of the century. I thought he had potential to win a race on speed. I did. And I'm a dumb bitch. Regardless, Ryan Sieg has been amazing this year, which is exactly why I'm going to say that he's not going to make the second round. Who does make the second round? Well, there you have it. So, this drops Haley. This drops fucking Brandon Jones. Briscoe. No, not Briscoe. Sieg. And who else is it dropping? I can't even see, dude. Oh, yeah, I dropped Allgaier after round 1. Did I remember to do that for the... Yeah. Yeah. Wait. Oh, shit. I have to edit this now. Whoops. I'm dropping Justin Allgaier after the first round because that's just how fucking atrocious his season has been. And if it dies this quickly, then maybe any glimmer of hope that I have for his future can die with it. Because despite the fact that Plastic missed the first round of the chase in 2016, and he managed to go to Cup next season, Allgaier will probably die in Xfinity at age 70. You know. But in any case, I have Bell winning Richmond, just because who else is going to win Richmond? Briscoe repeating at the Roval, because the Roval is just stupid. It really doesn't matter what my prediction for the Roval is. It's not going to come true. And then Cole Custer is going to win Dover. You could give Dover to Bell, but I think Custer is going to prove that he is championship shape by going into this race. Now, why do I have Annette making the second round of the chase and Allgaier not? Well, Allgaier's season. Don't even need to say anything else. Plus, Annette could just stumble into a win at the Roval because he actually had really good strategy at both Road America and Mid-Ohio. I think Mid-Ohio was the one. But still, like, Annette could just, you know, Travis Mack could just pull something out of his ass and Annette could win the Roval. I'm not even kidding. This bitch because of playoff points. This bitch because everything sucks. This bitch because playoff points. And this bitch, well, Nemechek isn't a bitch, but despite his horrible season, I still see him making the second round over Allgaier. Now there's the reveal that if I don't want to edit this, you already know. I have John Hunter Nemechek winning Kansas. Now, Nemechek won this race last season. But it was a stupidly OP 42 car. Nemechek finished top 5 at Las Vegas earlier this season. No. Just consider it for a second. Just consider it for a second. His only competition was Hemrick. Now, everyone died at Kansas. Yes, indeed. Everyone died at Kansas last year. I think it took out Allgaier, Bell, Custer, I think, was out in it. It was basically the battle of the B teams. And that's why Nemechek won. However, he's going to use lessons learned from his father, go into Kansas, and pull a win out of his ass. And that's just what's going to happen. Michael Annette's going to win Texas. Now, the only reason I say that is because I have wins at Tech. Well, one win at Texas in iRacing. And if I can win at Texas, anyone can win at Texas. And Annette, actually, I think he had top 10. He had like top 5 pace at Texas earlier this season. With Allgaier out of the chase, they're going to put everything into Annette, and Talentless, obviously. Talentless will also get something out of this because everything sucks. But yes, I think Annette will have probably not race-winning pace. He will probably be like 10th. And hopefully that's enough to point his way into the final round. But with Nemechek and Annette winning, that's going to lock out one of the top 3. The big 3! Why is Christopher misspelled? Oh yeah, and like I feel like it's obvious that Bell's going to win Phoenix because he owns the track. Yay. Yay for boring ass races. Custer will point his way into the final round, as he always does, I think. No, he won his way into the final round last year. So between these 4, who has the guts to go into Homestead and win the championship? Well, not Nemechek. Michael Annette. If he makes the final round at Homestead, watch out. Watch out for this bitch. Because let me tell you right now, Michael Annette's best tracks are Bristol and Homestead. Now, he sucked ass at Bristol lately, and you want to know why. Because they have stopped trying to make the track progressively banked. They have tried to return it to Old Bristol, and Michael Annette isn't good at Old Bristol. What is he good at, though? New Bristol, progressively banked Bristol, progressively banked Homestead. Michael Annette finished 9th at Homestead last year with absolutely no Junior Motorsport support. If he's the only Junior Motorsports car at Homestead, Michael Annette could win. With Travis Mack, Junior Motorsports support, and progressively banked Homestead, Michael Annette could win the championship. Moving on to Bell. Bell is the championship favorite, except he's not. Because he can't win at Homestead. What happened last year? I don't get it. Because at a progressively banked track, you see the drivers that have won at Homestead. Briscoe has a win at Homestead. Kyle Larson, probably his best track is Homestead, and he leads all these laps and then wrecks himself in the middle of the race. You know? But all of these dirt drivers go into Homestead and they are so good. Except for Bell. He won the championship in 2017, but he lost to Briscoe to do it. In 2016, I think he finished 4th out of all the championship contenders in the trucks. And don't even get me started on last season. I don't get it. But Bell is just not good at Homestead. He may be the championship favorite, and he may come into the race with like 9 or even fucking 10 wins. He could win Richmond, Dover, and Phoenix. Even the Roval. He is good at the Roval. He won Road America, and the Roval is stupid. He could very well win it. Kansas, I don't know. It's been really weird. Gibbs really hasn't had like race-winning pace at these 1.5-mile tracks unless it's Kyle Busch. Texas, maybe. But definitely Phoenix. Like, there is no doubt in my mind that Bell's winning Phoenix. Custer points his way in. Because he's going to have extra points from Dover. He is going to have that support from Mike Shiplett. A Mike Shiplett-led 0-0 is not missing the final round. That's really it. That's really it. It may seem like this is a hard decision, but it really isn't. Between all of these guys, there's only one possible champion. There really is. I bet you thought I was going to say Michael Annett. No, Custer wins the championship. Annett finishes second. Because Nemechek's going to be irrelevant. I mean, Nemechek, he was in the OP42 last season. And he kind of had race-winning pace, but then he fell off because everything fucking sucked after the second half. And nothing mattered, you know. But Nemechek could make some noise if he makes it this far. I don't think he will because GMS and Nemechek himself have sucked just cock all season long. Annett, like I said, he could very well win, but he will probably finish second to Custer because Mike Shiplett. And then Bell. Like, really the only question mark is Bell. If Bell doesn't suck, he could win, but I just don't see it. He's just horrible at Homestead, and I don't get it. Dude, I don't get it. Why does he suck so much at Homestead? But anyway. Wow, I think this is longer than any other Chase Grid predictions video I've done, and we've only just made it to Cup. Whew. Good thing I don't have to work for another 4 hours. 2019 Chase predictions and Cup. Alex Bowman. Alex fucking Bowman, dude. What a turnaround. Like, I swear, man. Bowman has just been really interesting this year because it was kind of his season in the summer. Like, I feel like Bowman is kind of like a Tony Stewart, where, like, when the track's hot, like, he gets more car control out of it or something. I don't know, because Stewart was so good in the summer and really bad in the early years, in the early part of the year. That's the only reason I say that. I feel like they're similar in that sense. I don't really think Bowman is cut out to be like an open-wheel driver, though. But his win at Chicagoland, like, it was pretty interesting. I'll give him that. Hamlin. Hamlin, the heartbreaker Hamlin. Denny, the heartbreaker Hamlin. Ham sandwich. The ham sandwich that will shatter your heart. I don't even know, dude. Hamlin's been so weird this year. He's been great. What happened, dude? Hamlin, dude. What happened? How does he have 4 wins? What the fuck? Where'd that even come from, dude? Watch out for Hamlin. This bitch. God, I fucking hate Harvick so goddamn much. It was so great. Just the entire season of Harvick not winning. It was just so good. And now he has 3 wins because he's a bitch. Speaking of bitch, Truex. It's been very 2016-esque. Not so much 2016-esque as last year, but this season has had the feel of 2016. But it's been kind of different because Truex has had race-winning cars, like in a lot of races. But like the only times that he's actually gotten wrecked and dumb shit has happened to him has been in races where dumb shit always happens to him, like Bristol or Indianapolis. Like he hasn't had those bad races like last season, like Texas 2018. You know, when he just wrecks for no reason. You know, he's had races where he's wrecked for no reason, but he's been strong in a lot of other places. And in a very similar vein to Hamlin, like Truex didn't have race-winning pace at tracks that mattered last season. His only mile-and-a-half win last year was Kentucky. And this season he has Charlotte, which is a much similar track to tracks that are actually in the chase. I don't remember what Truex's other wins were besides Sonoma and Dover. What was his other win? I don't even remember. That's just how I am these days, you know. I could name you off every race that I've watched Mark Martin win, and yet here I am. I don't even know the fourth race that Truex won this season. That's just complacency, and it's a weird place to be at. The expectation of Truex's success. I honestly don't know where he won. What the fuck? Holy shit! I don't even know. Richmond. Did I say Richmond? I didn't say Richmond. Shit. That's one of my favorite Truex wins ever. Shit. I must have thought I said it. That must have been the reason. Chase Elliott. I really don't like Chase Elliott. I think he's been handed a lot of his success. I think that no one treats him like they would anyone else, obviously. He wrecked plastic to win his first truck race. He just blatantly did it. And like Gregson doesn't get anywhere near as much shit as he should for what happened at Canadian Tire last year. But still, if you're going to be mad at Nemechek for Canadian Tire, you have to be mad at Elliott for fucking Canadian Tire. God. Fucking hate Chase Elliott. Eric Jones, Now, Jones is very similar to like Truex. I can't get a gauge on him. He's had very strong cars, and he had a bunch of top fives in a row. And then he won at Darlington. But can he turn that consistency into chase success? I just don't know. I just don't know. I don't know what Eric Jones is going to do. Kyle Busch. I fucking hate Kyle Busch. Not as much as Harvick. I actually hate Kyle Busch less than Harvick. But in any case, Busch is just doing what he always does. But you see, he is having a very similar year to 2016. Now, 2016, he got 4 wins in the first half of the season. And he didn't win after, I don't think. I don't think he got any wins in the chase in 2016. Kyle Busch got 4 wins in the first half of the season. And he hasn't won since. Busch, it's gotta come to an end at some point, dude. It's gotta come to an end. Busch's sheer fucking dominance, it has to come to an end at some point. Because no one else has had this consistent level of sheer speed since 2015. The only other comparable person is Jimmy Johnson. And even then, Johnson, you know, there was a stretch from like 2011, 2012 where he really wasn't relevant. And even before that, like, Johnson was a goddamn machine. Like, Johnson was a machine. But his software is out of date, because he ain't even in the damn chase. Get fucked, Johnson. Get fucked. But Kyle Busch, is Busch the new machine? Because he just gets top 10 after top 10 after top 10 after top 10, dude. He just keeps getting them. I don't know, man. It all depends. Kurt Busch. What a strange season for Kurt. What a strange season for Kurt. He's had race-winning pace at times, and other times just consistent speed, just like Kurt has been so weird this year. And actually, Kentucky was his first mile-and-a-half track win since 2010. He has won at short tracks and tracks like Pocono, Michigan ever since. 2010 was his last mile-and-a-half win before Kentucky. This could be Kurt's year. He has had a lot of speed these past 2 weeks. Darlington, he probably had the race-winning car, and I don't think he had the race-winning car at Indy, but he probably had second locked up. Because despite getting in a wreck at Darlington, he came back to finish 7th. Kurt has been just so strange this year. Brad Keselowski, 3 wins. He probably should have more like 6. But he hasn't had speed lately. He owned the track in like the first 10 races, and ever since he's really been irrelevant. It's weird. We'll see if he turns back on the speed at during the chase this season. Forgot to put Newman into the blue. Have we only had 9 different winners this season? Okay, 10 if you could include Justin Haley. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 for Justin Haley. Interesting. Anyway, Newman pointed his way in. He'll probably point his way into Homestead because that's just what he does. The bitch that should retire. God, fucking hate Boyer so much. Almirola, he has been the second best Stewart-Haas car all season. Very interesting. Byron, dude. What the hell happened to Byron? Byron's so weird. He has race-winning pace sometimes. What the... I don't get you, Byron. Larson has sucked ass this season. I predicted at the start of the year that he wouldn't make the chase. And for a lot of the year, it looked like it. I've had people at me on Twitter being like, oh, you were so wrong, weren't you? Bitch. If you're going to brag about the season that Larson's had, like, fucking calm your ass down. He doesn't even deserve to be in the chase. Whoops. Scrolled up. Sorry about that. Oh, yeah, and there's the Cheez-It Cup series. From last year, if you want to know how the Cheez-It Cup Series championship would have gone. Blaney. Ryan Blaney. Should have won fucking Indianapolis. No thanks to this bitch. But yeah, Blaney should have like 5 wins on the season. But he doesn't because everything sucks. Moving on. The first round of the chase. We have been here for 48 minutes. I have Bowman winning Vegas, okay? Kansas. He had the race-winning car at Kansas. He only lost it because Keselowski went sicko mode. The very next, truffle-shaped track that they go to is Chicagoland. Bowman won Chicagoland. I know that Vegas is probably the most unique out of the truffle-shaped tracks because Chicagoland and Kansas are probably the most similar, and Vegas is kind of the outlier because it used to be, a really flat track, but then they put the banking into it, and the track really has aged strangely. But still, Bowman actually was top 10 at Vegas, I believe, last season, and that was the season that Hendrick sucked. So, in this race last year, Bowman was really good, so he could very well win. I have Busch winning the Roval. Or not the Roval, Richmond, because Richmond is owned by Kyle Busch. And I have Hamlin winning the Roval. Why do I say that, you may ask? Well, the Roval is stupid. Hamlin is decent at road courses, and if he stumbles into the right place at the right time, he could very well do it. Truex points his way in, Harvick points his way in, Logano points his way in, Elliott points his way in. Jones, Byron, and Larson are probably the ones that are going to battle it out for the final spot, unless Jones does really good. It will be between Larson and Byron, however. I don't have Newman moving on, or Almirola for that matter, because Almirola barely made it into the second round last year, and he has not, by any stretch of the imagination, improved his ability to drive on road courses. Talking about Almirola. Newman, I just don't see it, dude. He has not had enough speed. He's had 16th place speed. He doesn't have 12th place speed. That's what it is. Bowyer needs to retire, and Blaney, even though he won the Roval last year, and I think I said the same thing, he'd miss the first round. He might be in a similar position to Bowman at Vegas, but I do know that Blaney is horrible at Richmond, and the Roval is still a toss-up. So, yeah. Dover, Talladega, Kansas. The classic round. Well, actually, Dover used to be in the first round, and the Roval used to be in well, that way. Truex sweeps Dover. I'm going to say it. Truex sweeps Dover. It's a very similar thing to 2016. Truex was by far the best car at Dover. And since this is a chase opening round, there's going to be really nothing on the line. So there's really going to be no Hail Marys by anyone. So I'm assuming that Truex is just going to walk into Dover and take the win. Now I know that Talladega has been won by a chase contending driver every single year that this format has been a thing. And I'm still going to say that the Talladega race is not won by a chase contender, and I have actual reason to believe this. Jimmy Johnson wins Talladega. He's going to do it. All right? He's going to do it. Because I've been saying it for so long. Never doubt Jimmy Johnson. 2.5 years of collective doubt. You've unleashed a monster. If Cliff Daniels had joined the team earlier, he'd be in the chase. Jimmy Johnson is going to be scary next year. Y'all fucked up. I have Harvick winning Kansas because at least one of these races has to suck. Busch points his way in, Hamlin points his way in, Logano points his way in, Elliott points his way in. Kurt and Keselowski, I'd say Keselowski is going to easily point his way in, but he might have some problems. I'm thinking he's going to blow an engine at Talladega again. Just a odd sensation that I have. But the final four, who's it going to consist of? Chase Elliott wins Martinsville. I see no other outcome. He's going to win Martinsville. I'd love to hear an argument against it. I have Busch winning Texas and Phoenix because despite the fact that he's going to win Phoenix, and there's no doubt in my mind about that, I don't really know who's going to win Texas. Hopefully Truex wins it because you can see that I don't see Truex making the Final Four if he doesn't win a race in this round right here. He could win Martinsville, but Elliott's going to win Martinsville. He could win Texas, and that's really his only shot. But I don't know if he's going to have the speed of Texas. And Phoenix is like his worst track, so he's definitely not going to win there. So he has to win Texas or he's not making round 4. Because Hamlin's going to point his way in. He's going to have 5 wins coming into this. So he's going to have plenty of points. And Harvick's going to have a lot of fucking points because he's a bitch. But in any case, There's your final four. You see, that wasn't a spoiler. That wasn't a spoiler, was it? Yeah, that was subversion of expectations. Subversion. Who's going to win the 2019 championship? Well, it's been Bush's to lose. But it was last year. Chase Elliott is the wild card. He's had no reason to, have any focus on him at Homestead the past, ever since he made the Cup. What if a championship contending Chase Elliott goes into Homestead? What about that? All three of his competitors have wins in Homestead. But is that relevant? I don't know. I think the season has set it up from the start. I'm pretty sure that this is the Final Four unless Truex wins a race, then take out Harvick. I said it 5 years ago, and I'm saying it again today. If Hamlin can make the final round of the chase, it's right there for him. Homestead is his best track. Probably next to Martinsville. Or even Pocono. But you see, the thing is, Hamlin hasn't won at Martinsville for a lot of years. He didn't win at Pocono for about 8 years. Until this year. I think he's going to win the championship. He's got to get there first. But it's set up for him. It's right there. It's right there for him. It's going to be difficult for him to get into the chase, pointing his way in specifically. He won at Texas earlier this year, but that was purely pit strategy. So if he wins again at Texas, that would put him into the final round. But I think the time's come. I think it's time for Hamlin to prove why Joe Gibbs has kept him in the car this whole time to begin with. And especially after the Daytona 500 and Hamlin's consistent speed that he's had, he had a streak of 7 top fives in a row. I don't remember where he finished at Indianapolis, but he was the last Joe Gibbs driver alive there. So, I do believe that Hamlin is going to win the championship. And 58 minutes later, we are finally done with this godforsaken video. This is the longest chase grid predictions video that I've ever made. I don't know why. It's the same as every other. Especially since, bringing all 3 championships into it. But anyway, I'm really tired, dude. I'm super tired. But I have to work today, so that sucks. In any case, this has been Comic-Con's Games. This has been a Chase Grid predictions video. I'm very confident in my Truck Series picks. And I am kind of confident in the Cup Series. Xfinity has sucked ass this year. So I wouldn't be surprised if, everything except for the Bell predictions come true. But yeah. In any case, this has been Comic-Con's Games. And I will see you. I don't know what I'm going to do next. Hopefully I figure out how to do live streams. Because I would really like to do one for the... Actually, I don't actually know. The schedule said that I was supposed to go in on Friday night, for the overnight, so I could do live reactions to Corbin's return race. So, hopefully I figure out how to stream by then. But in any case, this has been Comic-Con's Games. And Hamlin is the champion. Bye!